Welcome back to Just the Tip. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Mike.
I'm Aisha.
And we're so excited to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming and listening to us. All right. We're going to talk about two main things that happened since we last recorded. Lauren Speed reshared a clip of our podcast onto her story, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
There's multiple people listening now just because of that.
Iconic. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah. Also, at the same time, Seattle, where we're at, is ground zero for the U.S. coronavirus outbreak. So that's been fun.
That would probably be our high and low moment for the week.
That's definitely our high and low. Yeah.
So for all of the new listeners, we want to just thank you for joining us. What is Just the Tip? We are a relationship podcast where millennial love collides with pop culture and couples therapy. So basically, I've been in therapy for over 5 years now. I really am passionate about mental health awareness and having your shit together and really leading with vulnerability and transparency and sharing our journey and our stories as individuals and as a couple. I also love a lot of trash TV. I love pop culture. I come from a media background in advertising where I worked for a big media company on a lot of top brands that you probably do consume. So for me, it's just the merging of all the things I love, and I'm dragging Mike along for the process.
Yeah, I was kicking and screaming at first.
The first year. We just celebrated our 1-year podcast anniversary.
All right, what we're really here to talk about today is the reunion of Love is Blind.
Yes, can you believe it? The reunion episode, which they launched on YouTube, it happened, and I watched it twice. The first time I watched it for fun. The second time I watched and took notes. Oh, I also started a couple of group chats and was talking to everyone about this. I really enjoyed this show, and I think I got at least 30 to 40 people to watch the show by nonstop talking about it.
And I hate to admit it, but I learned a lot from watching this show.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why do you preface it by saying I hate to admit it?
Why do I hate to admit it? Because to me, this type of show from the outside looking in, it's always to me been what I would call a trash TV show. Mm-hmm. And I've never wanted to watch, I'm not into this kind of show.
You think reality, that you're better than
marriage,
this?
Relationship, reality type TV shows. You've dragged me through kicking and screaming through some of these shows, but this is one of them where I legit learned lessons.
This is amazing. Let's dive in.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, we're going to start off with the first thing that stood out to me was at the beginning of the show, Nick Lachey, if anyone doesn't know, he's from 98 Degrees. You have to be, I guess, a millennial or older to know who he is. But he started off by saying, and obviously I'm Nick Lachey. And I immediately had to pause it and be like, are you kidding me? But I even saw him cringe a little bit when he said it.
He did.
I imagine that this was like their 10th take. And he was like, oh shit, I sound like a fucking douchebag now.
And they were like, we're going to keep that one.
Oh, I would for sure keep that. But also, do you know who Nick Lachey is? Users or listener survey. Who knows who Nick Lachey is?
Yeah, I actually think, now with the TikTok generation coming up, there's a lot of people.
You sound like a boomer.
There's a lot of people who don't know who Nick Lachey is.
So in the beginning of the episode, after Nick's cringy type of intro, they kind of go around and see which couples are still together. And surprise, surprise, Giannina and Damien are still dating. I actually thought this would happen.
It's crazy. You actually called it.
Yeah, I could spot that toxic romance from a mile away.
Like you definitely, and you called it, and they didn't get married on the show, but you still knew.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're not going to get married on the show, but they're totally going to date. Like I actually said originally that they would be the only one couple, like not including Lauren and Cameron. Clearly they were like gonna win. They were golden. But I was like, Giannina and Damien for sure are the ones who have that passion. And you could tell they're still into each other. They're dating. It seems like it's gotten a little healthier. With them being able to see one another. But we're not talking about them first. Let's start with the most boring couple, Kenny and Kelly.
Those 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream that melted.
Yes. So Kelly's still single, and she admitted that she dated one of her best friends who was also at the wedding and was on the show. That was a little messy. And she said that she's had a lot of self-growth, but I just felt like everything she said sounded like someone who for sure needs to go to therapy immediately because they are 1000% standing in their own way, and they're the only person standing between them and the life they say they want to have.
Yeah, it's almost like she admitted that she hasn't grown.
No, she said, I've had a lot of self-growth.
But at the same time, though, she's crying about like the same thing that she's always done. and how she said she always friend zones a lot of great guys.
Oh yeah, and she said that I'm sure I should have married all those guys, and it's like, no, you shouldn't have, because they don't deserve you. They deserve something better. And when I say better, I mean that people who are ready and have dealt with their emotional baggage are deserving of a partner who's in a place to meet them where they are, not have to come and deal with your fucking crybaby ass who like is like thinking you don't even want them. Do you want a partner who has to convince themselves that they want you? This isn't some arranged marriage. Well, it kind of was arranged, but it wasn't
It was like as close as it gets.
It wasn't like old school country arranged.
She said my head and my heart were not connecting.
That means you don't want that person.
Well, and it really makes me think about, I know people who they think they want something, so they limit their dating pool to that one type of person.
The person you can be obsessed with and infatuated with.
Yeah, the person they think they want. But it takes too long if you narrow your dating pool to that small to find the right person in that tiny sliver.
She also said that before they got to the marriage, they had both, in her mind, agreed that they would both say no. So she said that she was under the impression that they were going to continue dating and getting to know one another after the show, but it didn't work out like that. So that was a little interesting to hear.
Kenny called an audible at the altar and said yes.
I don't know. What's an audible? Like, audible, I canceled that today. Is that what that is?
No, it's like where you change the play right before you do it.
Well, when she said that, he didn't give any indication that to confirm or deny what she was saying.
Okay, so bad. Okay, so all right. Bad communication.
I literally just spit everywhere.
All right, yeah, they just sound like bad
something that she said that kind of stuck out to me is she's like, I'm telling myself, Kelly, you get to a point where you're like, what are you going to accept into your life right now? And I'm like, you sound like someone who needs to just go heal and do the self-work, because I don't think it's what am I going to accept into my life. I think it's everything about what she's saying sounds like she's listened to a few self-help books in lieu of going to therapy. But I think with her new career shift she's done, she looks like she's taking care of herself physically, but she needs to go get therapy ASAP.
Yeah, agreed, because the way she was looking, I don't think she's done all the growth.
Listen to everything she says. It sounds like someone who needs therapy.
Yeah.
And then Kenny, okay, so a few of my friends, we've been chatting about this. They think that he's very creepy and they're just like, something's up with him. And so do you all think something's up with Kenny? To me, I think that he seems like an old soul. I don't think he's lying about his age, but I think that because his voice is like this deep baritone, which his dad has that same deep like radio voice, I think it makes him seem like even keel. He seems patient and calm. Maybe he's ragey, I don't know. But does he seem creepy like a predator?
You know what I just realized? He's not that different than Cameron. They're both very chill, calm, patient.
Cameron has he's a little more expressive. You can see a little more emotion.
Cameron's got a little more life behind the eyes.
A little more.
Kenny's I think he's just a simple guy
with a good family. I still liked his family. I'd watch the families have a show. Everyone has been saying that Kenny should have gotten with Kelly's sister because the sister could recognize. Oh, I wonder if that would happen. Oh, he says he has a girlfriend now and he's the happiest he's ever been. I think he was kind of like making it a little extra because he's sitting next to Kelly and he wanted her to know just how happy he was.
I never even thought of that.
That's because you're not really petty by nature.
Oh my God.
He was like, everything I went through on this show has helped me in the relationship that I'm in now. And I'm like, tell him.
Wow. Shit, I didn't even realize that.
Okay, moving on to Amber and Barnett. Amber starts off when they ask her how they're doing, Amber starts off by saying, well, I haven't killed him yet. And I'm just like, girl, okay.
She does seem chiller now.
I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that Amber she doesn't just look good. Amber looks fucking great. And I'm going to give her flowers while she's still looking this way, because I don't know if she's working again or not. She kind of alluded to the fact that she may have gotten a job, but if this whole thing falls apart, like, I don't know. When she got her hair dyed blonde, she posted it on Instagram and it looked hella fried. So I wasn't expecting much from the reunion show. But when she showed up, her hair looked shiny. Her breasts looked great. The dress looked great. She looked secure, happy. She looks healthy. She looked beautiful. And I mean, half of that was like, oh, you look the part. You look like someone who wants to stay at home. Like, if you're going to stay at home and not do shit, look like you are staying at home and not doing shit and being pretty.
Well, speaking of home,
man or woman, I'm not gender typing.
I thought immediately of you, Aisha, when they said that Amber thought Barnett's house was haunted.
So they moved closer to the city. I feel her, girl. That is my one disclaimer with Mike, is if we ever move into a place and I say it's haunted, no questions asked, we are moving.
We've went and like when we're searching, we've searched for houses before.
And they've been haunted.
We've gone to whole houses, whole beautiful. I mean, well, I thought they were beautiful in certain ways, and nope, haunted.
Mike and I looked at this house a couple years ago, and it was the biggest. It's like an unreal size lot. I don't even know how big it was, but
I shit you not, it was a half-acre backyard within 20 minutes of downtown Seattle,
and it was taken care of.
It was nuts.
Gorgeous trees. The backyard was like this labor of love. Of course, the first thing I asked when I looked inside the house, I was like, "Is this an estate sale? Did the person die?" And they're like, "Yeah,
kind of."
And inside the house, it was like a paint job type of remodel where like it's like lipstick on a pig a little bit.
It was.
We got into this one creepy ass room and like going towards the garage, and it was the room that had not been like redone. And I can still remember it looked like a murder horror house. And I knew that underneath the veneer of the white paint, it would be like the walls would start bleeding or something. And I felt the spirit of the person who had like passed. And I could feel the spirit of like the old man who lived there, like following us around the house. Like, bitch, don't fuck up my house. Like, I would have never been there by myself. So anyway, I felt her.
You didn't feel comfortable even standing in there.
Oh, I did not feel comfortable in the house. And how are you going to live somewhere that you don't even want to be in by yourself? It's ridiculous. And we also move next month. So the apartment felt good. It had good energy. I've already thought, what if the neighbor, it's a duplex. And so there's only one shared wall with the neighbor. And I've been thinking, what if the neighbor is like weird?
He could be. We don't know yet.
Well, we don't. And I was like, what if the neighbor is like haunted? Or has like bugs.
Got some weird kinks.
The neighbor may have some weird kinks. Shout out to Euphoria. Okay, so anyway, they've been living together. Of course, they're going to ask Barnett about the love triangle. The camera people are very shady, and I love that every time they're like talking about Jessica, they're putting the camera on Amber.
Of course.
Oh, of course. And Amber looked like if they had caught her maybe 6 months ago, she would have whooped Jessica's ass.
Amber was talking with her face.
Oh, I mean, I felt everything she said, and she was truthful. She was like, "You're shiesty. You're
shiesty bitch.
I can't say it.
You're a shiesty bitch.
You're a shiesty bitch." I feel like I have a speech impediment. How do you say that word?
You can't say that.
Shiesty.
You're a shiesty bitch.
Shiesty. I don't even use that word. So anyway, I just thought that it was really interesting. I thought Barnett had a lot of immature responses, but he also admitted that he doesn't use the best words. And then he also said that he regrets everything he says. Also, Barnett is not his real like name. Barnett's his last name, and his name is actually Matt. For the longest, I was like, who the fuck is Matt? Like, is this an extra character? I was pretty much paying attention the whole show, but yeah.
So I found it interesting when Amber said that they had to learn how to party together and how to like actually be in a relationship and honor each other in the relationship and still party and hang out with people because they're both flirts and wild and crazy.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Yes.
I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that Jarrett wanted to call out that disingenuine isn't a word. It's disingenuous, but that's okay because we knew what she was intending. But you know how like there's those words that people say and you don't know that they're not right? We just don't want anyone else using that.
Thank you, Jarrett, our fact checker.
Yes. And also like conversate's not a word. I know Beyonce says it in a song and like made it a thing. It's converse. Okay, as you were.
So I wanted to make fun of them for saying that they had to like learn how to party together because I was like, what, you two are so trashy, you can't like be in a relationship and hang out with people and drink. But then I realized it's true. You actually do have to learn what your partner respects and, you know, how do you honor your partner because it's different for everyone. Certain people are actually in relationships where you can't go to lunch or have a friend who's the same sex.
Opposite sex.
Or the same
sex. Depending on like what your
the sex that you're attracted to,
yeah.
I should say.
I also think that it was important to acknowledge that they both said that they both enjoyed their bachelorette lifestyle. So I think that they are both living very independent, single lifestyles.
Yeah, until like 10 days before they got married.
Before they got married. I also really respected that she acknowledged that it was a strain on their relationship that she was so financially dependent on him. She said that she was a cocktail waitress before, which helps explain why when he said, how many hours do you work in a week? And her response was like, as many as I want. She was a cocktail waitress, so that was good.
And there's nothing wrong with being a cocktail waitress.
No, nothing
Just
at all.
Like work enough shifts to pay your rent.
Yeah. And so I think that she acknowledged that it was different for her to be financially dependent on him because she has always worked for herself and had her own stuff. And I respected that they had to figure it out and they kind of worked at it. You made a point that you think that they would end up having, like last week when we talked about it, you said they're the type that Barnett's gonna end up in a trailer with the police called on him because Amber's kicking his ass.
Yeah.
I don't
necessarily
disagree with you. They said their fights are brutal because they were brutal because they're both stubborn and he's a self-admitted quote asshole.
Yeah. I mean, if someone like says that part of the reason they fight is because they're an asshole, that's telling. He's probably an asshole.
I mean, he said he's an asshole.
He said on TV out loud that he's an asshole. He's probably an actual big
I think
asshole.
Oprah said when someone shows you who they are, listen. When they tell you who they are, run. Or something. Or maybe I edit that last part. But I don't know,
but it sounds good.
I think Oprah said it. But I respected that Amber seemed like she's grown a lot. Married life looks good on her. I think that all she needed was a little bit of stability.
Yeah, she probably hasn't had much stability in her life.
And I mean, yeah, I appreciate that. Also,
do you work?
Shout out to her mom. I also did a little digging in between the last episode and watching the reunion, and she had addressed on her Instagram the reason why she wasn't working, and she basically got injured on the job, and I think her foot was broken or something like that. So she tried to explain to people like, no, I'm not just someone who expected to get taken care of.
Was she fixing a tank?
I don't know if she was fixing a tank.
Did a tank track fall on her foot?
I don't know if they fell on her foot because I didn't read that far in the caption. You know when you like skim to kind of get the gist of what they were saying?
I skim everything nowadays. That's my secret.
What is it? TLDR?
TLDR. Too long, didn't read.
Okay. So anyway, I'm pleased to see them. Dare I say, I really do think that Amber could get a better guy than him. I think he's like a resume type. I think he looks good on paper, but he's a self-described asshole who's stubborn.
Doesn't open up. Doesn't talk about his feelings.
They say that he did say that when he described their relationship, he said it's been a wild ride. It's been the most fun. They've been traveling the world together. I'm sure that they really are a good fit for each other right now. But I think that she seems like she could be a really good person and a good partner. And she seems capable of like being a little nurturing and giving, like almost where you want her with a better partner. Anyway,
it's like a little stability was the water she needed.
What do you mean the water
she's she's a plant.
Oh,
we're all plants.
We need sun though too.
She had plenty of sunlight, but she needed some water.
Yeah,
and a little stability was her water.
I wonder if they'll stay together. I mean, half the people who get married get divorced, so it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But they're enjoying their lives. She looks so fucking good. That's a glow up. You know, that is a real glow up.
Isn't that just a lot of makeup on a credit card?
No. She looks good. She's like Real Housewives after the first season. Everyone's not capable of looking at themselves on screen and making instant improvements. I have always joked that I just need one season. I just need one like actual season and a little bit of a budget. Just wait. Okay, moving on to Mark and Jessica. Okay, let me just preface this with, I don't want to body shame Jessica. I just definitely looked at the bags under her eyes and felt as though she lied about her age.
We don't want to body shame her.
The problem is
the bags under her eyes.
The problem is that when you lie about your age to make yourself younger, but you age like milk, you can't, like you just,
Baby.
what? It's like, don't lie about your age. She should have not lied about her age. I think that's why she had so many issues with her age with Mark, because you've been making jokes all day today before we recorded, like, Mark, don't look at my birth certificate. Like, you've been doing.
Do I have to write down my birthday on the marriage license? Mark, don't look.
It's just a joke. We've determined we don't like Amber's real voice or her fake voice, her baby
Jessica's.
voice. Or sorry,
Jessica's.
fuck, not the same person. Jessica. Okay, Jessica though, she for sure lied about her age. She doesn't look like someone who's 34 2 years ago. Because she doesn't look 36. She looks like she's 41.
Yeah, so she maybe was like 39, and I think
Maybe
that's
she was
why,
like 37.
I think that's why she was harping on Mark about the age difference so much.
Yeah, I think for
she
sure
knew
that she was lying about her
like,
age.
Mark, you know, we're like at least 10 years apart.
What do you mean? We are 10 years apart,
But we're like at least 10 years apart.
For sure. So I just have to get it out the way, because the first thing I thought was, do I need more sleep too? Like, are we all gonna look like that? I just feel like her bad energy was like wearing away at her face. She also acknowledged that she was uncomfortable during filming and that she drank too much. And she said that she was someone that she realized during the course of the experiment, and this was an experiment. She said she realized that she was someone who needed to start with a friendship. And she was working through some things during the show. She also said that she acknowledged that Mark was very attractive and that wasn't what it was. So she's like, I've been getting so many comments from people saying, are you crazy? He doesn't look bad. But as you said last week, it doesn't matter about the attractiveness of the person if you're not vibing with them.
Yeah, if you're not attracted to them.
Right. And so Mark did admit that he did not feel strung along by her. He just wished that she would have been a little bit more forthcoming with her feelings for Barnett. So I don't know if that's true or if it's like a saving face thing.
Mark did not feel like he was getting strung along, because Mark is the cat chasing the laser pointer.
You're right. That's so true. She also said that she struggles with going after something that's not available. And then she blamed her comments on, quote, being served whiskey.
I was served whiskey.
So I just didn't get that. It was like, girl, you served yourself a lot of red wine. Like, okay.
There's tape of her pouring her own glass.
Yeah. I think ultimately Mark dodged a bullet, but I think she did too. When at the end of the show, they asked him, like everyone, what they learned. He said he felt as though this show taught him the things he needs for the man he's going to become.
Like, Mark, you are a man, bro. You're a full-grown man.
I was just thinking to myself, dude, Jessica, as messy as she was perfect for the show. Like, honestly, would we have watched this show without her? We would have just wanted to see Cameron and Lauren.
She was the glue that held us together.
Do you think she got paid a little bit more money?
No,
probably not.
No, she gets her life thrown out all over the TV.
I think she's gonna hopefully learn. She says that she went to Chicago for a bit to get herself back together. Now she's living in LA. I can't do the vocal fry as good as you.
And now I'm out in LA.
Okay, so Damien and Giannina. First off, congratulations to Nick Lachey for actually saying her full name, because everyone else was committed to just calling her G. And I'm sure that maybe she prefers that, but I'm sure that having a name that people find difficult to pronounce, which is really just learn how to say my fucking name. Anyway, so Damien and Giannina are still together. They're dating. They're getting to know one another at their own pace. And I really appreciated them just saying that they never, and I don't know if this was on the reunion or if this was in a different interview that I watched, but they said that they both didn't believe in the traditional sense of marriage. So they had always thought, Damien always thought that they were both going to say no at the altar. So he said that he originally thought that Giannina would go first and she would say no. And his plan was to say, okay, I want to still leave with you today. So he was definitely thrown for a loop when she changed it. And let me guess, am I using this right? Pulled an audible or played an audible? Called an audible. So Giannina called an audible. And that's when you see him tearing up, crying like that. Cause he's like, oh fuck, you were supposed to say no.
Oh.
So that's what that emotion was about. But they were always, according to him, going to date afterwards. Something that I liked that she said was that watching the show back, she learned that he couldn't read her mind. And she really realized how poor her communication was and how the comments she was making were constructive, and that he was extremely patient with her, and she felt so lucky to have him in her life. And honestly, that's the best you can hope for in a growing relationship.
It's and it's so funny that
I called that shit from the beginning,
You
not
did.
saying
You
that
did.
I'm on it, but I'm on it.
You did. But she learned, like you just said, she learned by watching their tape. Shit, I learned by watching their tape.
Yeah, we all learned by watching
We
her tape,
all-
Giannina.
yeah.
Thank you, Giannina. We all learned from you.
Yeah.
Also, a few friends are wondering, have asked me, not that I'm the expert, but people were asking me if Damien was a Republican, and
He might be.
I mean, maybe he didn't really. He mentioned about politics meaning something to him, but when they talked to him deeper about it, and again, I don't know if this was reunion or some other thing because I've been consuming this shit all week. There's a virus in Seattle, and I've been working from home, which means that I've been working, but also had YouTube pulled up. So I've watched every interview.
Seattle has the clap.
Yeah. But he basically said the reason that he wanted to know about politics is because he didn't want it to affect his relationship negatively, which, I mean, I feel like when you're a Democrat, you don't really have to think about that because you're like, are you on the right side of history? Well, the Democrats are actually problematic right now, too. So let me not say political affiliation.
But either way, okay. Sorry
Also, everyone just vote. I'm sorry. Please just vote. I know it's trash. I know everyone's fucking old and I know everyone's garbage, but please just vote.
But like, politics don't mean shit to us. Human rights mean shit to us.
Yeah.
So if someone
you can vote on issues.
Yeah, if someone leads with like politics are really important,
They're probably
for,
Republican.
It's like, does human rights should come above politics, right?
But I was happy to see that they're still together. I think she looks super cute without all the extensions. During this season, it kind of bothered me that I could see her track like every camera shot from behind.
You kept calling it out.
I know, and
while we were watching it,
I would pause the TV and walk over to the screen and point to it and make Mike look at it like it's gonna give him a reaction, and he'd be like, "Oh, okay."
She was doing like the NFL coloring on the screen.
Yeah, I was.
All right, and you got your X's over here and your O's over here.
I was like, look at her track, it's showing, and he's just looking like, okay.
Okay.
Speaking of tracks and wigs, let's go to Diamond and Carlton. So
Diamond's getting a PhD.
Diamond is getting a whole ass PhD.
I want to know what it's in.
And she had her natural hairline out, so there was no wig slipping back. And you know what? After you get called out about having your wig slip back, there's no way you're going to show up to the reunion show and then have your wig not right. So kudos to her. You did ask me what she was wearing, and I had to tell Mike about the whole phase people went through wearing those hervé léger dresses, like the bandage wrap dresses. That's what that was.
Okay.
Why did you ask what it was?
I was just curious.
Okay.
What is it didn't look like it was the most flattering thing for her to wear.
Well, I think it's just those types of dresses, you either want to have your body together or you want to wear shapewear. So I think the fit just looked a little sloppy on camera, but in reality, I think she has a nice shape.
Maybe it's something that looks better when she's standing.
Okay. Carlton says he's single and has been working on Carlton. I don't trust people who speak about themselves in third person. Also, he sounds like a victim. Everything about him feels performative and full of shit. And Nick Lachey telling him that he was so brave and they're all proud of him, it felt very much like pandering and when you're uncomfortable with the subject matter, what you think you're supposed to say to make someone feel comfortable. But I really didn't feel like Carlton did anything that was brave. I thought that he was trash. I think his behavior was trash on the show. And I don't think that they even really made him be accountable. It felt like he was performing hyper toxic masculinity. From what we saw, also, they've both been getting death threats, Carlton and Diamond, so let's also acknowledge that this is a sliver of who these people actually are, but they signed up for a show about relationships, and the camera can't edit you telling someone this is why I don't fuck bitches like you, and that's why your wig is slipping if you didn't say it.
Yeah, he didn't have to own up to...
Anything.
He did didn't he technically apologize?
When he pulled the fucking ring out and gave it back to her.
But it was so performative.
Then said, oh, I'm not proposing to you, though.
So Diamond had to get treated like shit.
Yeah.
And she had to sit there on that stage and keep her composure while he put on a full show.
Full performance.
I mean, he squeezed out 2 single tears.
He's a theater kid.
He squeezed out a tear out of each eye.
Yeah.
And I mean, he wasn't
no one bought it.
Yeah, he wasn't like red in the eyes. He wasn't like crying. I mean, he's a good actor. I think Carlton is
I read
calculated.
a few people said that he has a few like credits, like show credits to his name. I didn't fact check that though, so maybe.
I think Carlton's a talented actor.
He's not. Okay, so a trigger for me is inauthenticity, and he's just so inauthentic. Everything about him just feels performative, and maybe there's a deeper seated thing where he's still discovering himself, but I felt like he made it about his sexuality when in theory it was about him lying about about his truth.
Yeah, and it's hard when you've got
if you don't love you and accept
happening.
you, how can anyone else love you and accept you? I think if he would have came into the show like being his true self, I think everyone would have just gone off of, okay, this is who you are. But we don't even know how people would have reacted because he anticipated being rejected. So everything he did was trying to like kind of buffer against that when it didn't even happen.
I kind of feel like
I just don't fucking like him, to be honest. Like, I just don't like him. And I'm sure that the way he is reminds me of other people I don't like. So that also is a me problem. I acknowledge that.
I think he maybe doesn't have a really good supportive community around him because he's not confident in who he is, like to the core. And so maybe he hasn't found his community where he can really be himself.
Well,
So
I just want to know where the footage is of him going back into that pool and getting that ring out. And when she said it doesn't fit anymore, it's like, girl, that's a whole new ass ring. That's like not even the same ring. Yeah, like that's why it doesn't fit anymore. But good for Diamond. I think that she came out looking great in the sense that she held herself together. She didn't get looped into his fucking craziness. She quoted some Beyonce lyrics and got to walk away. I think that that's the best way to handle it with a person who's still new to you, that's lashing out at you. I think she did a really good job, and she's getting her PhD. So
yeah.
there.
And he really put her on the spot.
When he bent down on one knee to apologize at eye level
and made her put on he made her put on a ring.
He didn't like force it on. It wasn't like that.
I mean, it wasn't, but you're on TV.
She jumped up to accept it, which made me kind of feel like, girl, come on, you can do way better.
What is she gonna say? Like,
she forgave him. I think it's like healthy to show forgiving. I think that was good. He veiled
it though, because it wasn't. The thing with an apology is if you're going to apologize, it has to be its own independent thing from everything else. An apology has to be an apology alone. You don't veil it with I'm going to apologize and now also in this same apology, accept this ring, accept this friendship.
He's performing though.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're performing, you do all that. Something that I thought was pretty cool is they asked the question, who did you see in person? And you were like, wow. Let's take a moment to honor the goddess and that Lauren is. Kenny goes, Lauren, you're captivating. You're stunning. It shines through. They cut the camera to Cameron, who's looking like, okay, you can say one more comment. Then the next thing, Damien, he goes, I'm sorry, Cam, but I can agree with that. Me and Lauren dated every day until the engagements, and we had the best conversations, which I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. They dated every day up until the engagements, but it also made me think that Lauren was a dope ass chick. And I wonder if any of those other guys had ever dated either women like her, which was someone who was confident in who they were, kind of goofy, their authentic selves, and just laid back, and then black chicks. And I just felt like, we know Lauren's a goddess. She's a queen. She's popping. She's beautiful. And she's happy with Cameron. I love them as a couple. I love that she was able to be a content creator before the show, because all of the fucking shine they're getting right now.
She's ready.
She is. Mike has said it. He's like, you know how like celebrities don't want to be photographed and their pictures look bad? He's like, all of Cameron and Lauren's pictures look good. I'm like, she is on it. It is amazing to watch. I'm living through them. I adore them, and we are rooting for them along with the rest of the world. She is taking this moment, and they were about to spin this shit into like some income.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because she is so ready for it, and she's taking really good advantage of it. Like, and Cameron's just lucky. You know?
Yeah. Oh,
He's not just lucky,
say what
but,
else you
like-
said. You were at first, like earlier when we were talking about this, Mike said that he felt as though he was like Cameron before, and then he was like, I was like, in terms of dress and stuff, you said, oh, Lauren was already great, but after dating
Like,
Lauren, Cameron looks a little better.
He looks a little better, but he didn't look that bad before.
And then why did you say that?
And then I realized, well, he had already dated a black woman for 5 years.
Yeah,
who,
she
like,
cleaned him together.
Who cleaned him up.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Cameron 6 years ago probably looked like me before Aisha.
Yeah, for sure. Someone can dig really deep back in the timeline and find the photos, or just ask one of my real life friends. I used to like joke / complain / vent about Mike's zip away at the knee pants,
Well, your
convertible pants.
your video of my haircut with Glenn.
Oh, that one has okay.
you
There's
can
a
see it on
there's
there.
a video of Mike that I took on my YouTube channel that has him with his first haircut, and I titled the video like, "Oh, I take my boyfriend to get his first black barbershop." Well, I didn't know that Glenn's just Filipino. Like I thought that he was black. Just that was my bad. But basically, it was a really cool video, and Mike had never had like a nice haircut, and he transformed into looking like a fuckboy before my eyes.
You can see, and you did a great before and after.
Oh,
And it's a real before and after.
it's a real before and after. But that video, I'll link it in the show notes. That video has 11,000 views, and it's just funny because that was his before and after. I shined you up a bit. You look really shiny. I remember telling my mom when we first started dating that I wasn't going to make nan improvement on how you like aesthetically looked. You weren't bad when I found you. Let me just say that. But like, you're not what you are now.
No, I was what they like to call a diamond in the rough.
And I've done what they like to call sweat equity. But I told my mom, I was like, I'm not going to do any improvements in him until I'm in love with him, because I'm not going to improve someone for the next person.
That's funny.
So I kept you in your zip away at the knee pants and your bad haircuts until we were in love, until we said we loved each other. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then you started working on me.
Bring out the tools.
Okay, so something that I thought was funny, because we do this, well, you do this all the time.
We do this. I mean, you do this.
You do this all the time. Cameron and Lauren talked about how they like to talk about what their kids could look like.
Oh, yeah, I do that.
And you do that all the time.
Yeah, when she talked about it, I was like, oh, Mike and I would do that too. And she's like, are we going to have a Barack? Are we going to have a Drake? What are we going to have? And so, I mean, it's a very playful thing. And I do know that people kind of fetishize biracial kids. So I know that there's like a negative side to it, but I think that in the way that they presented it, it was more of a playful. I think anyone who's with their partner and they talk about children will kind of be like, what would our kids look like?
Yeah, you can relate to it.
But not in a fetishizing of like, oh, our kids would be better or something because they're going to be biracial.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
yours is pure curiosity and
That's
like
like the
wonder. Yours is
only
like curiosity and
But
wonder.
it's the only reason I'd want to have children right now is for what they'd look like. So if someone knows an app that's not spammy and also works for Android, let me know.
It doesn't steal your face forever.
Oh yeah, not a Russian bot type app. But yeah, no, so we do that, and we've said, but we haven't said Drake or Barack. I think the ones we said were like, what's that one basketball player who looks kind of like a ginger?
Blake Griffin?
Blake Griffin. It was like, is he biracial?
I think.
Probably. We're like, are we gonna like? Would it be like a Blake Griffin? Who else?
I don't know, because the whole like kids thing is kind of your fantasy.
Oh yeah, because Mike wants them even less. Mike doesn't even. I mean, you guys, if you've heard any of our other podcasts or watched our Instagram TV video, yeah, that's another topic. Mike doesn't have any curiosity about what kids look like, and he actually told me that he would go ahead and get a vasectomy. But I don't know if that was playful.
No, I mean, I would.
Yeah, if I want to not have to worry about having birth control.
Yeah. I'm kind of like just ready to go do it. But like if you asked, like if it was something we decided as a couple.
Baby, I promise you I'll never ask you to go get a vasectomy.
I know you won't.
I know that you want me to. You know, when you like don't want to make a decision for yourself. Well, this is a decision you wouldn't just make for yourself, but
That's
you know,
right.
like when you want someone to break up with you, but you don't want to break up with them, you just want them to do it. So Mike's just like hoping I ask for a vasectomy.
You actually said today you posed a situation in which you would self-destruct our relationship.
Oh yeah, what was it?
It was if I was ever a working actor and was doing a love scene, You said you would feel so insecure about it and you would not like it so much where you think you could actually start self-destructing our relationship.
So the reason that came up is we were talking about Amber and Barnett and how you are getting to know how that other person has set their boundaries for social interactions or interactions with the opposite sex. And basically Mike and I have a trust with one another because one, we choose to trust each other, but also we haven't done anything to fuck up the trust. And so I was telling Mike like, oh, okay, well, when I met you had, certain relationships with female friends. And then Mike knows that there's times where I don't have like a shit ton of male friends, but there's times that I'm traveling and I'm on weird hours or I'm out socially with either male coworkers or other counterparts and there's alcohol and whatever. And so we were just talking about these scenarios and I told him that the one thing, like I'm not jealous, but I'm very territorial. And the one thing that I would not do is to deal with him being a working actor. The reason that was relevant is because Mike went and took some acting classes and like got a headshot. So I don't want to say it was a phase, but it was a thing that he was entertaining for a while. And I said, the one thing I know I can't do is like, oh, he has to go to work and do like a sex scene or he has to simulate romance or something because I would be so psychotic. I would probably destroy our relationship with insecurity and raging out and lashing out. I would not be a supportive partner. I would be nuts. I'd be on this. I wouldn't even, let me not even say I'd be on the set, like making everyone uncomfortable. I would be like, I don't have the strength to be here with you doing this, especially as someone who's going to not get paid any money. Cause I mean, at first you're going to start off just doing like some UW student film. Like, fuck that shit. No. And
I believe you too. This is like,
yeah, believe me.
Yeah, believe it. When someone tells you who they are, believe it.
Yeah, you better believe it. But no, and so we were talking about trust and you were saying how you trust me.
Yeah, but I was talking about how, to Amber's point, you have to never mind. To Amber's point, that's a phrase that I learned from a coworker who I'm on a lot of calls with.
What is the phrase?
To your point, he'll like, it's like a really I feel like it's a good way when you're on a collective meeting or call
to make someone feel valued and included.
Yeah.
I don't even use words like that. Is that bad?
No, but I've kind of started picking it up because I like it.
You know how some people say, right, when they're talking about something,
I don't like that.
To check it. I've noticed it a lot in Seattle where people will be explaining something and they'll say, so, we have this situation, right? And I don't know if they're checking in to like give you a prompt to respond back and to keep you engaged, or if they actually want a validation or approval. And I'm like, I don't check in and I don't want your approval. Like, I'm just like full steam ahead. So.
I just stay like silent and keep a poker face when people do that because I don't like it.
Well, and you also don't want to talk to anyone. You said you love your job because people are antisocial and you could not talk to anyone all day.
I sometimes really like it.
Yeah. Okay, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Okay, anyways, I was talking about how, to Amber's point, you do have to learn what people are comfortable with. And we just talked about this earlier, but I think you have a period where you learn about what someone's comfortable with and how you honor your partner. But then you get to a point where you've built a foundation of trust where you can you allow your partner, you can kind of pull back those boundaries a little bit because now you're okay with certain situations. You're okay with your partner being unsupervised or out with people that you wouldn't have in the past because now you have a foundation of trust to rely on.
Yeah.
Where that kind of stuff, it's like, why would that bother me now?
I also think that with time, you have experiences that build the trust. So it's not necessarily that time has just happened, but you've been in instances where that person has proven that they can give you some consistent results and you can trust their actions and behavior and you can kind of predict how they'll act. And I also think on the flip side, people who have been together for some time and don't trust one another, it's usually they're on point to not trust their partner or to know what not to put past their partner.
Oof, that'd be a rough life.
Well, I mean, if that's your trigger, it could be, but some people, it doesn't bother them. And I've personally had to accept, even with friends, everything doesn't bother everyone, and having to try to just, if that person, I actively right now know a fair amount of people that are doing things that I think are fucking bullshit and trash in whole ass relationships, even marriages. And I try to, even if I have a comment about it, I try to remember that at the end of the day, people are consenting adults who have a choice and who are choosing to be in those situations, and having to remember that I'm not the person who has to be with that person, or it's not my situation. And, you know, it's a little bit of having to, you know, just accept that people get to choose. So I don't pity someone, and I also don't hype them up. That's just their situation. It's not what I'm trying to be about.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to hope that for the most part, everyone's choosing the relationship they want to be in.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that they have a choice. And to be fair, Jessica tried to say during the show, well, at least I was honest. And I do I don't think
ever?
that she, I think if you really look at the fact that it was a 10-day situation, actually it was Jacinta commenting on the show who said, this is kind of like going on vacation and falling in love with someone and having a fling on vacation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Which I've never done.
Have you? Because you
people
don't
do
go on
that?
vacations. You
Right,
go
actually.
camping.
True.
You don't think you're gonna have a fling in the fucking woods or on the. You go on the coast where you have to hike 3.5 hours to get to where you're sleeping. If you find someone out there, it's probably like a mirage.
Yeah, I mean, we go with the hopes that there will be no one else out there.
Actually, yeah. But no, you can go on vacation. I think you'd have a fun time. I've never gone on vacation and actually thought I was like gonna, like, I haven't had that shit happen, but I've been in like actual relationships that, you know, no, I just haven't had that happen. But I think it's a good point, and it's a good thing to remember that you can easily get caught up. It was an intense 10-day period before they got engaged.
Was that how Stella got her groove back?
Oh God, it was Stella, not Stellar. Did you put a hard ER on that?
No.
Wow. So I just think that's a good point to remember. I've enjoyed all of this commentary about this show. I've enjoyed watching all of the couples. But to be honest, this was just Lauren and Cameron's show. I really am excited to see what happens with them. They are like giving me, they're kind of satisfying the craving that I had after Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, who just wants to be called Harry now. When Harry and Meghan like went to live their like peaceful life on Vancouver Island, now we have this poppin' ass couple, Lauren and Cameron, who are smiling for every camera. The outfits are on point. She's giving us fucking hair changes during a press junket. This woman is ready. And Cameron is ready too. It's just, it's so exciting. I get so excited about shit like this.
Yeah, Cameron does look, Lauren is obviously ready, but I'm surprised.
He's ready too.
I'm surprised at how ready Cameron is.
Look at his Instagram though. He had like some like bodybuilder pictures. I think that he kind of is hamming it up for the camera. Like, I don't think he was a shy person who didn't know how to take a photo.
But he kind of seemed like he was.
He seemed laid back, but I think that like he probably, the laid back part of his personality, he is with someone who is, think about us, not to like always make it like comparing us to them.
Like not to always do that.
Not to always do it. No, but seriously, think about it. Like, I'm the one who is your social crutch.
Yeah.
Not to say that she's his crutch, but you're laid back, but you're very charismatic, and you can go into your room. I can bring Mike into any room and drop him off and know that he'll handle himself in conversations with everyone and be okay, you know? But I'm the one that makes sure that you look good, you smile, we got our shot, whatever, but you're fine. And I think it's the same with him. He's totally fine. But watching them make something of this moment is so beautiful. Something else that I wanted to add, I'm really happy that the show took 18 months to go live, because I think it gave them time as couples to really go through some shit together, versus if they would have been going through getting to know each other and the realities of what real everyday life was like under the gaze of the public. And I think that that's when you see so many relationships crash and burn. They've had 18 months with no one knowing who they were to really get to know each other. So in reality, Barnett and Amber and Lauren and Cameron have been married for 1.5 years. They've all been married for at least a year, you know, so they've had time with each other. And so I think now that they're getting all this media attention, good and bad, they've had some time to kind of sit with it and feel a little bit more solid. So I appreciate they did that.
You mentioning them being able to actually get married and enjoy learning about each other outside of the public view, it reminds me of, I think it was the first season of The Bachelor, where
Did you even watch that?
I may have, like, No, I didn't.
Okay.
But I remember.
You just know when someone's about to start lying, and you're just like, you gotta kindly ask them a prompt to see if they're gonna continue to lie. Okay, go ahead.
But I remember, I didn't watch the season, but I remember the cops were called like the first night they were home, and like the Bachelor guy is outside, and of course the media is there. It's like the first night after they've gotten married at the end of the show. Cops are called to their house because of domestic dispute, and the guy's standing out there eating his pizza in his driveway with talking to the cops and got all the media on him. And to your point,
are you sure this was really on the show and this wasn't on Unreal? This just seems like something we watched on.
This wasn't on The Bachelor. This was like real life, like tabloid media frenzy after the fact. Like, if you're old enough, you might actually know about this.
God, I'm 5 years older than Mike. For anyone listening, I am 5 years older than him.
You youngsters won't remember this, but
stop aging. You're like you're aging yourself more than I am 5 years older than you.
I can't help it sometimes.
And do you know that I have him now using vitamin C serum and a retinol night like oil on his face, and then I also have him using a vitamin C and an SPF in the morning because I'm like, I'm not about to have you out here looking like fucking Jessica, and I'm sitting here looking like Lauren.
I shit you not. I think my skin looks better.
You're admitting it?
And honestly, like
we have this recorded.
I think like you put it on one night, and the next day I felt like my skin looked better right away.
Really?
I really do think so.
Okay,
yeah.
So thank you. I'm happy
I know.
it's on.
I'm saying it. I'm putting it on tape.
I mean, let's also be fair. I've been using, I was using Murad, Drunk Elephant, Sunday Riley, and Paula's Choice on him. So I'm using really fucking high-end products. It's not, this isn't like some, not that all DIY is bullshit, but this wasn't just a little bit of coconut oil. Though I do also slather him down in a bunch of butters, but even the butter mix is nice. So thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, the nice expensive products actually I think worked.
I just have to put them on for him because you just can't be heavy-handed with an $80 serum.
Yeah, it's not that you have to. It's that you like do it and you don't do it.
I'm very controlling.
You won't. Yeah. Thank
Let's
you
just
for saying
sum it
that.
up and say
Thank you.
I'm very controlling.
Yes.
Any other type A controlling people out there who want it done their way?
Okay, so this is what we're at now. At first, she had to do the drops on my face and be the one to rub it in. I have now been able to take over the responsibility of rubbing it in.
But I still tell you how to rub it in.
After she'll put the drops on my face, and then I get to rub it in. But you will sit there and say, don't forget to put it over your eyes.
Yeah.
Rub it into that spot on your upper lip where it's extra dry.
It's in it's where your mustache is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do you want to look like Jessica?
I know where to rub it.
Do you want to look like Jessica? Because that is the future that awaits you.
Rub it.
It's so mean. I don't want to okay, so I feel torn because I don't want to be mean and comment on her face.
Yeah, at the beginning of the reunion, they mentioned keyboard warriors.
That is, what was Vanessa Lachey fucking talking about? It's Twitter
talking about us.
Twitter fingers, keyboard warriors.
Talking shit about Jessica's bags.
That sounds like someone who's trying to like talk about the internet bullies like culture, but they also go to church a lot. Keyboard warriors. So no, I feel torn because it is annoying that as women we talk about other women, but at the same time her bags under her eyes look like that, and it's like, what? But then to be fair, someone commented on my Instagram this week asking me why I sound like a whole, not just part. Why do I sound like a whole Valley girl / white woman? But they agreed with some of my points. So thank you. This is just my voice.
Thank y'all.
Thank ya.
Thank y'all.
So the one thing I want to leave with is I really thought that for the show to have been filmed in Atlanta, which we looked up the stats, Atlanta is 50% or 51% black and like 40% white, and then everything else is like even, that little sliver. the casting was not reflective of the demographics in the city. Because at first I kept saying, why don't they have any, like, where are the Asian people? Where are the Indian people? We need we need more black people. Like, what is this show? Because the people were still blown away by Lauren. I kept saying there needed to be more dope ass black women. Atlanta is full of dope ass black women. But then when we thought about it, Mike made a good point. He goes, it doesn't matter where they go to film. They didn't even cast based on the demographics of the city that they're in anyway.
Well, yeah. So if you just go by pure osmosis, the city that's half black, you should have had a cast that's half black. They had to take steps to purposefully filter out probably a lot of black applicants that they had.
Or black people were like, I'm not about to meet someone through a fucking wall. Like, I mean, also that may be it.
You never know.
No, but I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, it's like, do you want to be on this show where you're gonna live in a box and then you're gonna propose to a person behind a wall?
There was probably 1,000 Carltons lined up trying to get on there.
I don't know. Probably. I mean, who knows? But this is just to say that I think that when they do season 2 of the show, and I believe it has been renewed for season 2 already, I would hope to see a more diverse cast. And I actually think that it would be really interesting to have not just all hetero people. I know that Carlton was he was bi, but it was kind of hidden a bit, and it wasn't. And also he was on there to intentionally meet a woman, so that was also his choice. But I think it would be really interesting to have sexually fluid people on there, men and women, and to see what happens. It allows for way more possibilities.
Yeah, way more possibilities.
Put everyone in a fucking pod. Don't let anyone be friends. Actually, I don't know who's to say. Like, it could be really interesting to see what happens. Also, Netflix were fully available to do an official podcast on behalf of the show. Mike and I would love to live in a pod.
Yeah, we'll live in the pod while we record.
Oh, during the first episode, there was one guy who I can't remember his name, but he was like on the guy's side of things. He sounded like a therapist, and all the guys would go talk to him, and he had all of the common sense and sound advice. What happened to him? I want to know what happened to him.
He must have been the 35-year-old virgin that was on there.
No, he wasn't the 35-year-old virgin. Oh, so there was one couple who also got engaged on the show, but the creators said that they had only anticipated 1 or 2 couples getting engaged. So the other couple, the 6th couple, they just essentially gave them their cell phones back and told them good luck.
And I'm just thinking, who was more boring than Kenny and Kelly that they let walk away?
Yeah. Would we be boring like that? I mean, at this point, our relationship is like, we're 4 years in, we're not dysfunctional, and we're still together, and we're getting married.
Yeah, like they don't want to, there's no interesting tape of us cuddling with Khaleesi.
We had a family cuddle last night.
We have a family cuddle every day.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. Okay, thank you for joining us. Next week, I think we're going to be talking about intimacy and relationships, how to approach it, and how to navigate conversations about sexual frustration, inadequacy, sexual stuff. So that's what's in store for you next.
Listen in if you've ever been sexually disappointed.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about sexual disappointment. It is something that everyone has experienced. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Okay, and where can you find us?
Where can you find us, Mike?
Where can you find us, Aisha?
Okay,
I literally don't know. I'm asking for real.
Mike doesn't know. So we are on Instagram. We're on Twitter, barely on Twitter. And we're on Facebook at Your Fave Podcast. And then you can also find us on YouTube if you want to just stream episodes. It's on my YouTube channel. I used to be a vlogger, a hair vlogger for Naturally Curly a million years ago, and that's at 627 blog. You can find me on Instagram at 627 spelled all the way out. What does it mean? My birthday is June 27th. That's what 627 means. Mike, where can I find you?
At Aisha's house.
No, as Lauren said, in our home.
Our home.
We live in our home.
Yeah, that was good.
But no, where can people find you?
Mike.couch.
At Mike.couch.
Yeah.
So creative, easy.
Yeah. You don't need to follow me though, honestly. You don't need to. Like, you really don't need
We're
to.
gonna just stop saying your name.
Yeah.
But also if you have any questions, let us know. Mike is really excited to answer any listener questions.
Yeah, I love the questions. I just love them. I just want to like answer questions.
He also can answer medical questions because he's a medical provider. Yeah. So if
you give us enough time, I'll like look shit up for you too.
Yeah, and he also has, he can answer almost anything. So
because I can bullshit.
You can bullshit. We're like both.
We're both bullshit artists.
We're solid bullshit artists. No, I'm joking. Kind of, not really. Yeah. Also, I think I may have ADD.
Okay. Have a wonderful
explore that.
week. It's been great.
Weekend.
Weekend.
Bye.
Goodbye.